Okay, I'm gonna try and, is this working? Fuck, I have no idea. I've never made a video before, but anyway, I have an idea. A theory, actually. I need to make it quick and short. So, Autistic me, Idiot Savant. I do know a little, but oh fuck, I don't know a whole lot more. But I want to talk about reality. I want to talk about physics, so quantum physics, so quantum mechanics, and energy, electromagnetic energy. And the reason why I need to talk about these things is because I don't like being caught up in an extinction event, not to mention the insanity of living in this world right now where the authoritarians, the right-wingers, all those people they're fear-based. All of their thinking and ideology, comes out of their fears, selfish little self-centered fears. Don't go there, Harry. But anyway, when I look at reality, in a sense, I see a whole vast field. It doesn't matter. I look at it from the micro, the very small, out there into the universe, the interstellar. The new Rubin telescope that just came out. I mean, I follow a lot of science and physics. I'm into reality. I like to know the truth. It all had to do with just understanding who the fuck am I? Who are these other people? Autistic me, born into some pretty friggin' insane parents. But I've been chasing kind of like the answers to that base question ever since. Who are we? How did we get here? What do we arise from? Long story short, my conclusion is, there is a foundation to reality. And some other people too. Think of it as the 0 point subquantum field of matter. The components are building blocks of, anyway, energy and potential, And from that, we get time and space, reality such as we see and, feel it to be with the limited senses that we have. But we're also, we're beings of energy, electromagnetic energy. Our brains, produce, function on, electrochemical energies. Our hearts, also, a little separate system, boom, boom, boom. They're producing their own electromagnetic energy. Human beings, we have a very distinct, electromagnetic field around us, a personal one. And so does everything else, in life. From, this cup to the rocks outside, the trees, water. Oh my goodness. We're surrounded, We live within the Earth's electromagnetic fields and all these other electromagnetic fields that everything is putting out. And most people, have no clue, don't think about it, could care freaking less. But the thing about that is, some of us, some people, are sensitive to electromagnetic fields, Native Americans, many of them are sensitive to the natural fields. That's one of the reasons Native Americans, the men chose to wear their hair long, because your hairs are actually, they're like antennas, they're sensing organs, every single hair. Give it a tug. You feel that, pinch me. It's because it's connected to to a nerve, and then you're directly into your neurosensory system. Every one of your hairs helps you sense your environment, and not just the wind and direction, but the electromagnetic energy around you, perhaps. But anyway, we arise from that 0 point foundation, that huge universe, it's giving rise to the universe as we perceive it. And all these different energy fields, all these planets, all the light on onto the planet, and while we're, dancing around the sun, and we're all kind of tied in and balanced in harmony together with the other planets spinning around our system. Don't have too much to worry about. So, there's little asteroids that, but, when I think about energy, looking at the universe from the smallest points I can see to the furthest points out there far away, one thing that seems to be like a universal constant is all those different forms of energy and matter. They appear to be infinitely cooperative. I mean, infinitely. I'm not a big banger. I'm more the cyclic expansion, contraction. Roger Penrose. Yeah. But anyway, all that energy, all those energy fields appear to be infinitely cooperative and in an expanding universe that seems to be creating more of itself, more life, as it goes along. And we are a part of that, humanity. We are a part of that. And an important part, too, I would like to think, although, that's probably a lot of ego right there. But I think we can tap into that. One of the things about energies, physical energy, electromagnetic fields, even if they're, coming from different substances, different elements, being the base of the, atomic structure of that field. When you get two different electromagnetic fields, within a certain proximity, interesting thing happens. They merge. Boom. Instantaneously, they merge. Faster than the speed of light. E equals mc squared. What Einstein's, theory of relativity taught us and has been, demonstrated and proven, tons of experiments. But it happens, and there's an example of it. And I got to thinking, about energy. And we have our own electromagnetic fields and how everything works and arises from that 0 point subquantum field and how everything is interconnected, throughout the friggin' universe, the double slit experiment and stuff like that. And I had the idea, knowing about electromagnetic field interactions and mergers and phase shifts into higher orders of being. Why can't human beings? Why can't we do that? We ought to be able to, And I think if we got a large enough group, and it would take a number of people, at least, 125 to 150 people, and it might take 10 times that number in order to generate enough voltage, enough, current and amplitude to create a coherent, human-powered, electromagnetic energy field. And, I think we could do that you know, probably, more than one way. But a lot of it would be about having, a group of committed, focused people who believed, who were knowledgeable enough about physics and about human physiology and brainwave functions and achieving a meditative state, because you'd have to get, that group of people, everybody on the same page, as far as brainwave state, that meditative state, all focused. And, the focus point might be the most important thing, because we'd have to focus on love. Love of life. Love of being here. Love of not having all the answers, because then we get discovery, which is a wonderful thing. We get to learn new things. So we'd be focusing on love. Love is our focus point. And we create this human bioenergy field. We're not doing that in empty space. And this, we're creating, a unique, never before seen, I think. Well, maybe, maybe not. Gosh, monks or whatever in Tibet might have done it ages ago, building some of those incredible monasteries. But if we create that field, we'll be impinging upon space, making a place for ourselves, and in space and time that is already occupied by a whole lot of other energy fields going on from everything else. And they are all interconnected. And, Sir Isaac Newton, his third law of motion, comes into play here. Because for every action, and he was talking about moving bodies within space, the apple falling out of the tree, gravity. But for every action, when it comes to moving energies like that, there's an equal but opposite reaction. This has also been proven, blah, 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 all kinds of experiments. And I think we can take advantage of that. I think that we create that field, and boom, never before seen. I believe we will get a response, from the underlying foundation, the 0-point subquantum field that's giving birth to reality in this moment. Because it's kind of like we're uploading ourselves into the universal friggin' program. Because the wiring, the physical infrastructure, the subquantum mechanical structure to exchange information and energies, between different elemental states and energies, it already exists. It's just been waiting for us, like to wake up and notice it, pay attention, to how stuff works. So we create that field, a universal energy field. Boom. Immediately is going to register and respond, the equal but opposite reaction. And the thing about those electromagnetic fields, remember, when there's two different, fields get within that certain proximity and merge, that instantaneous information and energy exchange, across every atom, every particle of that field. And boom, phase shift, higher order of being comes. And, the people, the human beings that are a part of this experiment, they are an integral physical part of that magnetic field. And in that moment of merger, I do think they too are going to be upgraded, updated, in every atom of their being. That because that's just the way the subquantum mechanics work out in magnetic field interactions and mergers. Boom! All of a sudden, boom. It's be like the next step in human evolution. And I think what it would gain us, because we have all these potentials already built in, I think it would, update our neural sensory systems. It would give us a lot more sensitivity to our environment and incoming environmental data. And that would let us respond. And I think respond as a one. Because in the moment of that merger, it's not only the people within the field that are going to change, but the universe, and perhaps the foundation of reality as we see, perceive, and feel it to be right now, that's going to change too. Because it has, all of a sudden been updated in that moment of merger with the new information, the new energy and data, of humanity, or of that group at least. Although it would change the world for everybody on the planet, every human being alive. And I think that might let us turn this extinction event around, stop global warming, shut it down, and maybe start, removing CO2 from the air, as a group, as a one unified human family, all being on the same page, upgrade it. I think, though, a lot of people, the Republicans, the believers in whatever, that aren't grounded in physical reality, I think, at the moment of merger and in that next moment where it's a whole different reality, I think a lot of those people just might drop dead, or, I don't know, perhaps just freaking disappear, because reality wouldn't have any place for them, and they wouldn't have any place in them for this new reality either. It would be too much, to be confronted, with how wrong they had been about life all along. But anyway, blah, blah, blah. I'd like to do that experiment. I think we could get in touch with the universe. Fucking A. But what do I know? Cool.